Sorry. Welcome to the August 14, 2017 Planning Meeting of the Pine Richland School Board. We'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We all appreciate that the flag is supposed to be there, so we're still pledging allegiance. Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Dr. Banyas.
Here.
Ms. Dawson. Here. Mr. Sundo.
Here.
Mr. Kashani.
Here.
Mr. DiTullio.
Here.
Ms. Goebel. Here. Ms. Johnston. Here. Mr. Lyons.
Here.
Mr. Stegman. Here. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a completely full board tonight, which is the subject of my president's statement, and I thank you all for coming. Other than that, we had a board and strategic leadership team retreat preceding this meeting, where we discussed a lot of our mission and plans for the next year with the various committees that we have on the board. Move on to item 1.03, correspondence. Ms. Williams.
Barbara Young emailed the board regarding policy 915, boosters parents organizations.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, I knew I missed something. I'm sorry. Item 1.02 is recognition of visitors. Anyone wish to approach the board? Please do so. Seeing none, proceed. Ms. Blackthorne, I'm sorry again.
You know what, that's next month. Or next, we'll do it for 2 weeks. One more time.
Okay.
Barbara Young emailed the board regarding policy 915, boosters parent organizations.
Item 1.04, minutes for approval. Recommended action, motion to approve the meeting minutes as attached.
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion passes. Section 2, action items. The first is item 2.01, personnel items. Recommended action, motion to approve the personnel and supplemental items as attached.
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Just as a point of note, there were 3 positions added late this afternoon around 2 o'clock. Those are all in the short and long-term substitute section. Cindy Poole, Alana Perung, and Danielle Demay, just in case the board has not seen that over the weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Is there any further discussion on personnel items? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 2.02 is, for the moment, a discussion item. It is a temporary authorization to permit Dr. Miller and Mr. Kennedy to fill remaining positions prior to August 28th board meeting, so that new hires can participate in the opening in-service days and the first 3 student days before formal approval by the school board, recognizing that the school begins before our next meeting and that all the personnel positions are not yet filled. So since it starts a discussion, we'll entertain any discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve it. I don't need to discuss it. It's unusual anyway.
In this school district, it hasn't been necessary. In other school districts, it's commonplace, de rigueur, so to speak. So it's a question of whether or not you believe you're creating precedent, if you want to make this a one-time thing, if you want to give this authorization on a routine basis. Those are things worthy of discussion.
Yeah, I would add, we're not asking for that on a routine basis. This, regardless of when the August meetings, dates occur, there's always going to be an example of a position that you just don't hit the timing sequence of the meeting. So right now, it has been for years challenging. There are always these positions. Sometimes we invite people to attend those opening days. Obviously, we want a person in front of the students on the first day of school. We've needed to use Kelly Staffing Services and others to try to funnel them through their approval process. What we're asking for is literally targeted from today until August 28th. It doesn't extend beyond that, and it's just for this circumstance so that we can make sure we're ready to go.
And just for awareness, the current outstanding positions that we have that may be impacted by this, all are in the short and long-term sub arena. They are not permanent positions. The permanent positions have been filled based upon the approval this evening. But we'll be looking in the areas of social studies at the high school, biology at the high school, a special education at Richland Elementary, and 3 paraprofessional positions. So those are the 6 that I would anticipate, as well as a clarification on a school nurse position. So those would be the 7 positions that could potentially have some leeway in the next 2 weeks.
Now, I want to make sure, Mr. DiTullio, that we have your motion worded properly. So, would you like to?
If you'll give me a
State it.
second, let me make it an action item real quick. I have to go in and edit the actual, and then update my, so bear with me here one second. Okay, motion. Okay, we're good now.
Are we? Okay.
Not sure if
So I
it'll
need
show
to
up there
refresh my
quite yet, because I haven't typed anything yet, so.
You're saying now
I'll
you're
need-
ready to
I need-
capture
I
the
need for
wording.
yeah, I'm ready for the wording.
So a motion to approve the temporary authorization, or no, motion to approve the authorization for the administration to fill the positions as noted by Mr. Kenny for the open positions between now and April 20, or the August 28th meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? The motion includes only between now and the August 28th board meeting. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Make sure we're all...
Would you like me to read that, reread it, so you all know what I'm...
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Motion to approve the authorization, motion to authorize the Superintendent, Director of Human Resources and Legal Affairs to hire staff as necessary after August 14th, 2017, to be formally approved by the Board of School Directors at the August 28th, 2017 school board meeting. Does that sound okay?
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Further discussion, so to speak? Hearing none. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. DiTullio. Yeah, Ms. Williams. Item 2.03, contracted psychologist. Motion to approve the attached contracted psychological services agreements for the 2017-2018 school year.
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 2.04, motion to approve the 2017-2018 Presley Ridge Agreement for the 2017-2018 school year.
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 2.05, NAFME All National Honors Band Trip to Orlando, Florida. Recommended action, motion to approve the student attendance and application of the Student Discipline Code for a high school student to travel to Orlando, Florida from November 25th through November 29, 2017 to participate in the NAFME All National Honors Band as described on the attached field trip request form.
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. My most sincere congratulations to Troy Rowlands, who was elected to this prestigious honor. Actually, from the entire board, I think I can speak.
Yes, I agree with that. He's a nice kid, too.
He is a nice kid.
Thank you. Item 2.06, football headset donation. Recommended action, motion to accept in accordance with Board Policy 702, gifts, grants, and donations, and with sincere gratitude, a donation from the PR Touchdown Club, a Tempest headset system to be used for coaches to communicate during football games.
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 2.07, Eden Hall Upper Elementary Parking Lot Expansion Change Order. Recommended action, motion to approve a change order for Eden Hall Upper Elementary Parking Lot Expansion Project in the amount of $1,831.79 as attached.
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 2.08, third and final reading of Policy 915, Boosters Parent Organizations. Recommended action, motion to approve as third and final reading Policy 915, Boosters Parent Organization as attached.
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I hate to ask, but did we include in this the use of district assets as part of any fundraising activity for any specific group? It's somehow included in there, the management thereof? Or ultimately, does it need to be?
I don't believe so unless there's a specific example you're thinking of that I'm not thinking of as you ask the question.
So for instance, the reserved parking for football games. Is such an asset, the district asset, available to any group to utilize, in this case, sell reserved parking passes as part of the fundraising, thereby making it a group-specific asset?
To my knowledge, that request has not been made to us, and the policy itself doesn't specifically address, I guess, that situation.
Yeah.
If a group wanted to, they would have to, first of all, provide that fundraising opportunity on the district-supplied form, outlining their fundraising campaigns. If they propose to have a fundraiser similar to what you just suggested, that would ultimately have to be discussed with the building level administrators, Mr. Shoup, to seek approval for it. We'd have to address that somewhat on a case-by-case basis to see if that is something we were willing to do.
All right, so does it need to be addressed in the policy ultimately?
I don't
hate
believe
to bring this up at this point, but it's a new thing, so.
Yeah, I don't believe it needs to be addressed at this point. I think those opportunities are limited in scope and can be handled on a case-by-case based upon, again, the forms that are submitted upon those approvals and looking at those opportunities from an administrative perspective, we'd be able to handle those on a case-by-case basis. And where there is any kind of question about it, we would be able to seek the guidance of the board if necessary, or obviously us at administrative level handling that issue.
Very good.
Is there any further discussion on Policy 915? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 2.09, motion to approve a third and final reading of policies 203, 204, 209.2, 251, 255, People Services mini batch as attached.
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Dr. Banish, just a quick comment here. We have continued to do the batch policy review. We've worked through the 900s. We've handled some other policies as they've come up. Our thinking, we've handled the zeros. The board handled that last year, is to move into the 100s. There are many 100 policies, and some have been touched and updated more frequently than 1994. So I think the last time the board went through a policy review process, it started at the beginning, and so so there was some progress made, sort of 100 through 300. So at some point in the next, not quickly, but in the next few months, we'll look at the 100s and begin to get our hands wrapped around that, and then talk to the board about how to progress reviewing some of those policies. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Item 2.10, first reading of policy 222. Motion to approve a first reading of policy 222, use of tobacco and tobacco-like products as attached.
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Strategic plan update.
I'll take it.
Dr. Miller.
I'll keep this update brief, but it is important. In our retreat we had before tonight's meeting, one of the committees focuses on staff services, another on academic achievement. And one of the questions that any educational organization continues to wrestle with and plan for is, how do you build the competency and skill of staff? Everyone has strengths, everyone has opportunities for improvement, and how do we, by design, improve the quality of work done by each individual in order to get better and more effective results with kids? Those could be areas such as math performance, but it could also be in the way in which teachers form relationships with students in their classroom and the type of culture they're able to create. So in this item, whoever's using the mouse, if you could click on 301. No. Yeah. What we've attempted to do at a very high level is just describe some of the actions that are happening over the first 3 days of in-service. That is a part of the collective bargaining agreement. It is something that we spend a significant amount of time with all of our work groups planning around. We have a professional education committee that meets every spring, and in that committee we talk about and map some of the initiatives for the following year and what the plans are, to the point where we have some building-based, we have others by vertical team and content area, we have sessions focused on meeting individual needs for students and talking about their IEPs or GIEPs or perhaps a health plan or 504. We have specific training for paraeducators, and the training itself might vary depending on whether they need a certain certification like CPR, AED, or crisis de-escalation training in working with students. So there's a lot of things happening, and it's here today just because we want to express to the board how much that time is appreciated with our staff and how important it is to continuing the development of our workforce so that we're doing the best thing we can for kids. So again, there's some detail there. I can tell you that just confirming the logistics of room location is a challenge, let alone the quality of what's happening within the rooms in the training. I'll be happy to answer any questions, but otherwise I just wanted to pause on this just so that you could hear how important it is to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Any comments? Thank you. Moving on, Finance, Mr. Sundo.
Item 4.01, at the August 28th voting meeting, we'll be asked to approve the typical monthly financial and accounts payable reports. 402, budget transfers, there won't be any pursuant to PA School Code. They're not allowed until October 1st. In item 4.03, we want to schedule a joint Finance and Building and Grounds Committee meeting for November 13th, 2017 at 6 p.m. And I assume that's a Monday prior to a meeting.
That's correct. And if I could, just to emphasize, the last bullet point on that agenda is around one of our key initiatives this year, and that is the print copy management contract. So we have some time to work through that process, but at Pine Richland and in any school K-12 system I know, that's an important part of the overall operations of the school. So in addition to being a financial investment, so we really want to make sure that we take our time to do good work through that initiative.
Any further comments on Finance? Thank you, Mr. Sundo.
It's okay to schedule that date then? Anybody have a problem with that? I know it's pretty far out, so, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Sendo.
You're welcome.
Academic achievement, Ms. Dawson.
I'm going to skip to item 5.03 and 5.04 as reminders of meetings on August 28th with the topic of ACT and SAT prep courses, and on 5.04, October 23rd, a joint operational and academic service meeting for technology and professional development, food service and transportation. I will let Dr. Pasquinelli talk about 5.01 and 2.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson. So 5.01 is an update for the board and community. We're excited to roll this out. We've been talking about in our long-term strategic goal about having curriculum written across all content areas that's viable and guaranteed for students regardless of what teacher they're working with. And we've talked about sharing a portion of that curriculum with the community. So, for example, if you're a family that has a student going into 8th grade this coming year and a 6th grader, then you get a chance to go through and see an overview of all the courses that your child or that student would be participating in over the course of the school year. So this has really been a school-wide effort to get it to this point. It started with a committee of administrators and teachers building a framework for the right amount of information to share with families, and then from there turning it over to Ms. Hathorn and her team and putting it into a framework now that we think is a real parent student-friendly website. So if we just take one quick example, if you land on this site, and this will roll out to our community here in the coming days, this is an example of a kindergarten family that wants to take a look at all the learning opportunities over the course of the school year. You can literally scroll down and see an overview of the course, the resources, and a bit of a description of each of those courses. And we wanted to build a consistent framework, like I said. So this was the challenge of getting 300-plus teachers working together and really building something out that we believe is good and meaningful for our families. We've already received some feedback from the board on ways we can enhance this. So things like linking this to teacher landing pages. That's in a future iteration of this as it comes out. We have links, if you click on online textbooks there, Mrs. Hathorn, then recall we've talked about this as a great family resource. If your child's in 4th grade and wants to look at all of the online resources that are available, then you've got some quick access on username, password, and website. So just trying to make it as easy as possible for our families to understand the learning opportunities for their kids and then to get to those resources that they'll use for learning. And again, thanks to Ms. Hathorn and her staff. They worked hard over the summer to take all of this. Imagine every course that we offer, and now it's in a place that's there for people to quickly find and review.
And for item 5.02, with the expansion of Google Apps to Eden Hall, we are excited to begin the expansion down into the 4th through 6th grade span, as the district has utilized Google Apps at the 7 through 12 to this coming point. And we've decided to look at the way that we're rolling that out to the kids and design it in a way that we would be having them have a touch point with their computer applications or keyboarding teacher initially to roll that out and get them signed on, and then fold things over into the classroom teacher so that they would be able to use that tool to collaborate in real time around an instructional initiative in an authentic manner. Along with that, we also revised the frequently asked questions for parents based on some input that we had received in the past through previous rollouts, and also redid the introduction letter to parents to introduce that topic. So we will be looking to roll this out in the 2nd cycle, so within the 1st month of school, to students in grades 4 to 6. And as someone who's come from a district utilizing that beginning in grade 3 with kids, I've seen a tremendous impact on the ways kids can collaborate and create some pretty extensive projects, and also exchange feedback and input with their teachers through the commenting feature. So they're getting real-time evaluation, even if it's asynchronously, they're able to continue working, and I really do believe this will be a great value to the district. So I wanted to open it up for any discussion, and obviously if Mr. Sobner has anything to share as well. We believe we're in a really great place to roll that out for our students.
Mr. Serpent, I know at our retreat, we were talking about goals and metrics, and I think one of the things, emphasis here is, as well, is that there is a concrete plan behind professional development for the teachers. The kids will be fine, they'll get it easy. But I want to make sure that we're providing that, and I feel confident that we are, so that our staff and our teachers have the ability to provide meaningful experiences with it online. Because certainly we can still have them sharing, collaborating, but we're really moving along that same scale to we're getting to higher levels of collaboration, doing tasks in a way, in a form that they really couldn't even achieve with pen and paper rather than just simple substitution. So, I'm glad to see we're moving here. We are, I think, for the board's sake and for the community, I recognize we are moving in some cases more slowly. I think more deliberately would be the word I would choose, perhaps in other districts. I think it's important for us to know when we look around and stay abreast of what other districts are doing. The uptake of this particular suite has been tremendous, not just in our region, but of course nationally. So we're playing a bit of catch up there. I think doing it in a deliberate fashion where we're also ensuring that the skills are in place so that it's meaningful and material and not just collaboration for the sake of, I can do this online now. It should lead to better long-term success, but I am glad to see us moving in that direction.
If I can just add, Mr. Lyons, we received, I recall that feedback as we were going through last year, and we're definitely not where we want to be with staff readiness, but we were intentional with the professional development options, whether that's through our building level technology coaches in service. We really tried to bring that level of focus to our staff to say, let's make sure we're ready for some quality learning experiences with this resource. So definitely room to grow, but the message was heard in terms of sharing that concept with the staff too, that we want to be ready for good quality learning experiences with our kids now that we have this additional resource. And again, we've stressed this many times too. Technology is not our answer for everything. It's a tool in our toolbox that we want to be able to tap into when appropriate and go back to paper, pencil when that's appropriate too. So we'll continue to do that.
Dr. Pasquinelli, how often do the teachers collaborate their experiences to update their skills through the experiences of their colleagues vis-a-vis this technology? How often does that happen?
I'd say from the second semester on, we had two of our in-services were focused on tech integration, so that was all staff that had that opportunity. And the nice thing about that, it was very flexible in terms of where they were ready to go, so we had different levels of tech integration. When we did the survey and a teacher said, hey, I'm pre-beginner, we didn't put them in a group that were advanced and ready to fly. We put them in a place that they could collaborate with others that were at a common readiness, so we weren't going too fast. So that's two opportunities for all staff. And then throughout the course of that semester, our BLTCs are there for just in time. If a teacher has a quick question, they have office hours that they can talk to their BLTCs. And then we had a schedule that we rolled out the second semester last year that the whole staff could see, again, cross K to 12, when we were going to be holding these sessions either before school or after school. So if it would work within their schedule, a high school teacher could go to, for example, Eden Hall for a session that would be held after school and participate. I can't tell you how many people took advantage of that, but publishing that district-wide calendar of professional development that was voluntary is available, and we plan to do the same thing here as we enter into the first semester of this year.
I can speak to, I personally attended a few of the Eden Hall sessions that were very well attended before school started, and Beth and Chris did a really great job, and mainly the second half of last year focused on the Google App tool set and moving everybody to the next step and having them focus and taking that data specifically from the report and the survey in December and focusing on those tools where people, maybe more than we liked, were pre-beginner or beginner and trying to move everybody over.
Thank you. I think that speaks positively to our staff, that your meetings were well attended, that they're willing to upgrade their skills in that manner outside of their classroom. And so my congratulations and thanks to the teachers for doing that. are we done? Any more questions on academic achievement? Thank you, Ms. Dawson. Thank you, Ms. Silva, Dr. Silva. Thank you, Dr. Pasquinelli. Buildings and grounds, Mr. DiTullio.
It's chock full of information this time. One item, 6.01, just a reminder of a Buildings and Ground Committee meeting scheduled for September 11th, 6:30, prior to our planning meeting that week. The topic will include discussions around the athletic facilities improvements and the bucket truck. And Eccles will be there as well.
And it's 6:30. We don't often do 6:30, but we think an hour is sufficient, so 6:30 start.
Any further comments or questions on buildings and grounds? Thank you, Mr. Tullio. Student services, Ms. Johnston.
So items 7.01 through 7.05 are all motions for approval at the next August meeting. And they're different agreements. They include the Human Service Administration Organization Agreement, the Holy Family Institute Agreement, the Glade Run Lutheran Services Agreement, the Allegheny Intermediate Unit Agreement for Title I and Title II agreements. Also, the Midwestern Intermediate Unit Agreement. And I didn't know if anybody had discussion on any of those. They can. Okay. Item 7.06 is going to be for board consideration at the regular August meeting. It'll be a motion to approve trip requests to the PIAA State Championships for the 2017-18 school year as applicable per qualification. I'm going to need to start wearing my glasses to the meetings. So, okay, item 7.07 through 7.09, they are all going to be for board consideration. Motion to, at the regular August meeting, motions to accept some donations. The item 7.07 is the prof grant donation. 7.08 is the donation of paint. And 7.09 is the donation of auditorium equipment. Item 7.10 is the administration would like to schedule a Student Services Committee meeting on October 9th at 6 p.m.
Any further questions or discussions on student services?
I do really want to highlight those contributions. Those donations are material and significant. The community comes to us and expects us to make sure we're using the resources. We know we live in an area where we have great resources, and this shows the abundance that the community is sharing with the school. If you review just the profs donations, I mean, these are significant material contributions that are really helping us avoid the expense. The Middle Meadows TV studio grant, the geometry software at the high school, you know, this is some significant donations. Profs has been a long-term partner of ours for years. I know this includes a number of things they've donated. It's great to see it assembled here together. What's most important about this is it comes with the collaboration and the targeting that I know this is going to good use because they're working with you, Dr. Pasquinelli and Dr. Miller, to make sure it's hitting the right need. Also, the Richland Elementary PTO donation of equipment for the auditorium. That school and all of us, we have a high school size auditorium with a lot of equipment and infrastructure needs to serve that grade school, and they use it very well. Anyone who's been to the first grade show at Richland can tell you that. So to see the community come together through the PTO and support that infrastructure to help us is just tremendous. So I really want to highlight both of those.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons. Thank you, Ms. Johnston. Any additional discussion on student services? Staff services, Ms. Goebel.
Item 8.01, personnel items, will be motion presented to approve a list of personnel items. 8.02, it's a motion to approve the affiliation agreement with Slippery Rock University and it's attached to the review. 8.03, there'll be a motion presented to approve the attached contract of services with PAeducator.net for the 2016-17 school year. Is that supposed to be 17-18?
That is supposed to be 17.
I guess it's 17-18, and that's attached. And then 8.04, administration would like to schedule a staff service committee meeting for our September 25th meeting at 6 p.m. That works for everyone.
Any additional discussion on staff services? Thank you, Ms. Goebel. Operational services, Mr. Lyons.
Item 9.01 for board consideration in August is motion to approve the annual agreement between the district and Pine Richland Aquatics for pool facilities. Item 9.02 is just information item that the school district has received our list of bus drivers from STA that remains on file with Mr. Kenny. All clearances have been reviewed. Item 9.03 will be for consideration at the second August meeting, which is the purchase of replacement projector and AV system for the LGI classroom. I have a question, Mr. Silver. I apologize, I didn't get to you before. That's only like 3 years old, 3 or 4 years old, right, our existing system. Where do we think we went wrong or it went wrong?
It's a heavy utilized space located adjacent from the library and the auditorium. So it has the same style projector that's used in, despite being a larger room, it has the same exact projector that's in a lot of the STEAM renovated classrooms. So it provides a challenge for that. The amount of hours used is different because of the after-hours use and variety of flexible space that the LGI occurs. And also, it's a little bit more expensive than a typical classroom because the integrated AV controls and room audio are slightly more costly to upgrade and maintain. So it's a combination of several things, but this is a room it's pretty heavily utilized and definitely a larger investment than a typical classroom.
But all that was true 3 years ago.
I'm checking myself on the date. Is it 5 years? Time's getting faster as I get older.
Yeah.
2012, I think, was that installation probably.
Yeah, it probably would be older than that. It would be, I would have to check the date, but it's definitely not 3 years. It would have been closer to 5+, so.
Does it work? Does it work?
Some of the speakers do not work, some do. It's not reliable. The projector's faded beyond use, so it's in need of some repair. So a varying level of working would be, the image is small and dim, so it would definitely need, some maintenance.
Hope we're not going to get the same type.
No, we have, Mr. Karpinski and myself, as well as a few other vendors, have looked at the specifications, and we're confident that the recommendation is the right fit for that room and will handle for many years past what the existing setup had been.
Okay. Item 9.04 for consideration of the regular board meeting is a motion to approve repair and expansion of the high school paging system.
I want to add, in operational services, I received a personal thank you from the Fayette County facility for whom we donated the textbooks. They were most appreciative of the school district and the school board for the donation. So, I want to pass that along. Are there any additional comments or questions on operational services? Thank you, Mr. Lyons. Item 10.01. This is an informational item for next meeting to approve the attendance of our Board Secretary, Barbara Williams, at the PASA-PSBA School Board Secretaries Conference in Hershey, Pennsylvania, from October 19th through October 20th. I couldn't think of a better representative for our group. So, is there any discussion on this item?
Does the assistant to the school board secretary also have to go?
Okay. 11.01, reports. Dr. Miller.
Dr. Baines, before you leave board business, since we've all been formally invited into the conversation pertaining to the PSBA lawsuit against a state resident, is there a need for this board to state its position to the PSBA?
Right to them, related.
Right. The lawsuit they filed against the state resident. Is there a need for this board to state its position pertaining to that?
Oh, I think individually we have to respond, don't we?
Right, but as a unit, as the Pine Ridge Board, since it's our association, is there a need for us to?
I believe that pertains to the Butler's board formally came out.
No, my point is that the PSBA has now filed a lawsuit against a constituent. Do we have an opinion on that and whether or not that's what we want our representation to be doing with our?
We haven't discussed it. If you have an opinion and a suggestion, I'm
I
all
do have an
ears.
opinion. I think it's ridiculous that they would do such a thing. It just sounds like a whole bunch of name calling and they're not taking the high road, and ultimately we're paying them, so do we want them to in some way, shape, or form be directing some of our dues to support a lawsuit? It's an opportunity to make a statement for or against, I guess.
Well, I would suggest that if you wish to make a motion like that for the next meeting, or that we have it, but I think we probably should debate it at some length and be prepared to discuss it. So we can vote it on August 28th if you like. And I'm certainly not opposed to that.
It's new territory for
I
me,
wasn't
so-
prepared to vote on it today, but
Yeah.
because it wasn't on the agenda, but if you want to put it on the agenda, we can put it on the agenda. If you want to comprise a motion, we can discuss it the next time and vote on it.
Fair enough.
Would you support us fully responding to that constituent claims that are the basis for the lawsuit, Steve?
No.
I'm confused.
No, I'm suggesting that as a member of that organization, the PSBA, that we simply state our position for or against their action in filing a lawsuit.
I guess what I'm pointing out is that those two positions are somewhat contradictory, because on the one hand, by not being fully responsive, that compels you on a course of litigation with the same individual that we're somehow saying the PSBA should not engage in litigation with. So I'm trying to understand the position so I can kind of develop my own thoughts on it.
My position is simple. The PSBA has filed a lawsuit against a constituent
Right.
who wants some information and may or may not have engaged in name calling. And as a member of that organization, the PSBA,
Right.
I'm simply asking, should we make a statement as to our position pertaining to the PSBA's filing a lawsuit against a constituent? It has nothing to do with the content of the legal action proposed. It's the simple action of the PSBA.
I think it's completely appropriate to make a motion in that regard, Steve, if that is what you're sensing. I've been the PSBA liaison for my entire term of the board, which is 10 years, and I can tell you that the PSBA has not always been supportive of respecting all the diversity across the state's districts. So because they're an advocacy group, there's been many opportunities for many school boards across the district to choose to belong or not to belong. but there is a general sense that most people think that we're just supposed to belong because we're a public school entity, and that simply is not true. It is at the wish of the full board to decide whether or not to belong to the PSBA. I have personal thoughts about it, which I have expressed many times on this board. There is a process that they go through where boards can participate, but it's not always a very transparent process, in my opinion. So I completely understand what you're asking.
Yeah, I'm left with the nature of the specific legal issue at hand, and which is dealing with a right-to-know request, and one that's been particularly pernicious and takes up an awful lot of time. And so, rather than just sort of saying, I don't see it as sort of PSBA suing a constituent or a resident, of the Commonwealth, I look at the issue and say, is that where I would be as a school district? And, in fact, I know some of us would want to fight these requests as received, as reasonable as they may or may not be. They take up a lot of time. They can be very distracting from our mission. And that, I think, is what the PSBA is trying to serve.
Actually, they're claiming defamation. It has nothing to do with wanting to supply or not supply the information requested. It's damaged reputation and defamation. To me, that's name calling, and they're supposed to take the high road.
Fair enough.
Okay, I would appreciate, Mr. Stegman, if you would reprise that motion. We can all be prepared to discuss it in more detail and vote on it at the next meeting.
Very good.
Okay?
Thank you.
My apologies. Is there any other board business to discuss? Okay, now we'll move on to reports.
Okay. I would just add to that last discussion, this is not a constituent who lives within the Pine Richland School District, just in case anybody's listening to this and doesn't understand what's being discussed. So it's a constituent of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We're very excited for kids and staff to come back to school. Last week, marching band began their camp, 244 students in grades 9 through 12. It's pretty impressive all the time. We should be thankful for the directors that we have with our band, the impact they have on kids, and their ability to create a culture and sustain that culture, which is really positive for the children, the students, and the school itself. We had a number of fall sports teams begin their practices today as the first day of competition. We have new student orientations beginning, new hire orientations. We have a mentor program that we're beginning with all new teachers to Pine Richland, whether they're new to the profession or just new to us. There's just an awful lot that happens in the next 2 weeks, and we're excited about it. I was able to get around to most of the schools today. We have teachers who have already been in classrooms. We have classrooms that already have every stack of perfectly organized supplies and resources for the kids that are be walking through the door, because the teachers wouldn't feel good if every last I wasn't dotted before they come back to work. So it's a great time to be in schools. If you can be around and just feel and hear some of the energy. There's not a year that I'm not thankful to work in a profession that has a beginning and then a year and then sort of an ending, and you get a chance to recharge and think and improve and then come back and do it again. It's pretty exciting. It also feels like a quick summer, but I don't know if that gets faster over the years or not. But we're ready to go. And Mr. Zhang, if you see him or his workers, both custodial and maintenance, tremendous work that's done, and much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Are there any other reports from the board? Any others from administration? Hearing none, we will adjourn the meeting. No executive session. Thank you for, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I did this again. I was already set. This is time for our second recognition of visitors. Anyone wish to speak? In too much of a hurry here. Please don't feel intimidated. We invite you to speak. I can't believe I did that a second time. All right, we're adjourning. Thank you.